Sunday Funday, but not really actually a fun day. Got another really cold day upon us. Woo! It is windy. Another fun Sunday Funday. Not really any fun in the winter here, but we are trying to make it the best possible. Today, a little bit of windy, a bit of snow. SVJ is going to stay home today. We're going to take the Cullinan. M3, just going to move that out of the way and then head out. Clearly, I have been driving the truck in the winter, but I haven't actually taken it out in a couple of weeks. So I figured, why not hit the road with the Cullinan? Again, SVJ will stay home today. The R8 still have to put the winters on, but I mean, we're end of January anyway, so question is does it even make sense to put the winters on? Still have the Michelin Sports. Again, I do have the winters for this, but I just haven't got around to the Sport Cup 2s. Haven't gotten around to do that. It was actually a great winter car. A lot of fun. That, not so much. That hasn't seen winter, never will see winter. People would probably hate my guts if I ever took down the snow, but these are at least are different. They're all-wheel drive. They're able to handle the winter very well, right? The rear-wheel drive M3 has been great in the winter. That we do have the winters on, so let's just move this. So these are the Michelin winters. Anyways, okay, so bear with me with the wind noise. Hopping in the car. Definitely need to clean out all the garbage. All right, M3. It's actually been a great driving experience. And what are we at right now? We're almost at 37,000 kilometers. So you guys can see I've actually been driving this thing a lot and enjoying it. There's my hat. Now, throw my hat on. We are good to go. I gotta go see Camilo actually again. Camilo is a good close friend of mine, but also my barber. All right, so on the road in my big puffy jacket again. But see, now you can clearly tell the big difference in driving. Of course, a loud, obnoxious, not even obnoxious car, but like a louder, even stock form car, V12 like the SVJ. Even though it's a completely stock car, it's very hard to have any type of conversation sometimes, even with the person who's beside you. Like right now I'm driving with my wife and she does want to be on camera, but she's not a fan of the SVJ or like other cars. She hates the R8, how loud it is, because it's fully straight piped. But this like the Cullinan and the Rolls, she likes just more so because you can actually drive it, enjoy it. It's comfortable, smooth. They're great vehicles. It's one of two things. I really think I am more of a fan of the Rolls now than I ever used to be, but that's probably because I'm getting old. Older. Okay, yeah, older. Because I'm getting older, I do actually like the Rolls. Great family vehicles. Just putting it out there in case anyone, kids. I don't have kids. We don't have kids. It's getting awkward. Okay, so I won't talk about anything more like that. But anyways, the Rolls is a great overall vehicle, especially if you get into something that's more newer and modern. A lot of people aren't actually aware that the warranties on them are amazing. Sometimes people might be a little bit more scared of the fact of maintenance because people do kind of have that doubt in their mind that, hey, like if I can buy a used Rolls, what about maintaining it? How expensive is it going to be to maintain it? Anything that's actually under warranty, Rolls-Royce has an amazing warranty, which is unlimited kilometer, pretty much full maintenance. Like you don't have anything to worry about, nothing to stress about. You can drive it, enjoy it. If you like to drive and enjoy vehicles, I would suggest, if you are able to, go for something a little bit more newer that's under warranty, so you can actually enjoy it. That's the whole point of spending the money, paying to be able to enjoy the vehicles. And that's where I personally believe over some of the previous models that were like the Series 1 Ghost, Series 2 Ghost even, for example, or especially the Series 1 and Series 2 Phantoms, not the Phantom 8s. The Phantom 8s are actually great cars, but the previous models, they are very problematic. They are a lot in maintenance. They're very heavy in maintenance. And I've owned a lot of cars, so I can actually give full breakdown on a lot of the different models of cars, not just Rolls, like a lot of general cars, like everything from like Astons that are disastrous cars to some of the most amazing built cars. Like if you ask me today what's the best car as a starter exotic, I would tell you go for an R8, or if you have the budget to do so, get into even like a 19.3 RS. If you can go for like a Weissach, that's the golden car, the best car. Like those two cars, or actually three would be the perf. If you can get yourself into a perf, any of the Huracan R8 platform, same platform, but solid platforms, and Porsches, amazing cars. They're drivers' cars. Those are great starting point cars. I know the 3RS, of course, I'll get some shade for that. That's not a starting point car, but I'm just saying if someone has the budget to allow them to be able to go and look for a 3RS or a perf, I would say go that route. But if you're just starting off and you ask what is the best car, most reliable, best performing, and not boring whatsoever, R8s are amazing cars to start off with, and I would prefer the R8 over actually a lot of higher tier exotic cars. But let me flip the camera. If you haven't already seen the interior of this Cullinan, I'll show you guys again. Again, this is a 2022 Rolls-Royce Cullinan black badge. Yeah, you got all the carbon trims, some of the blackout package. Even on the exterior, if you guys noticed, the grill area was all not carbon, sorry, what am I saying? Sorry again, I'm a little bit groggy, just woke up getting used to this whole talking on camera, but it had the blackout package, so a lot of the blacked out trims on the exterior. This is the 5-seater option. I used to have a 4-seater option, and I found it was a little bit tighter in the back, which is why I prefer the 5-seater option. Is there really a big difference between a silver badge and a black badge? You guys tell me. I really don't think there is. When this black badge came out, I thought, the black badge actually came out in 2020. So this is a 2022 up until 2024. You have the same style, 23, 24. They're all the same body, they're identical. So from 2020 to 2024, they're all the same when it comes to the black badge. 2025, you have the new facelift version. They're beautiful trucks, beautiful interiors. But the price point on them they are crazy. They're very, very nice trucks, but like to be paying some of those premiums. Remember, we're in Canada, so now we have we're actually in Ontario, so we don't have that double luxury tax. But people out in like BC, for example, you guys are paying your provincial and federal luxury tax plus your tax raise, like 33% on top, 10 plus 10 plus. We're 10 plus 13, so we're 23% on top. And then of course our pricing for Canadian vehicles, like a lot of the stuff is unheard of. Like I know guys, and this is not about the 2025 models, because now you have actually more options. You have a higher MSRP. You can build crazy builds on them. Not a smart thing to do in my opinion, but if you got the money to do it, go for it, right? I know guys that have built like 198 option list on a Cullinan, and they're Canadian. They're $1 million into a build on a Cullinan, which is wild. Like then you have some guys with the new facelifted Phantoms that are like same thing. They're like $1.1 million with luxury tax, before tax, and you see some 24s or 24 Phantoms even like listed in the 700 range, 750 range in the used market, right? Canadian, keyword Canadian. But then you got guys that have the most outrageous builds. Like you got an extended wheelbase new body Phantom, the new facelift version, where they're like 1.25. Where would you have ever thought you'd be paying over $1.25 million for a Canadian for a Phantom extended wheelbase, right? But even the Cullinan's craziness. But then you can go pick up a used one for a good price too. I'm not saying you should spend crazy money like that on those crazy builds, but you can find even these 22 black badges. I got mine for MSRP, so I'm pretty good with it. But like when I even bought my truck, there were people that were paying crazy 150K over MSRP, which was wild. But it came down to patience. If you had the relationship with the dealership and you waited, you would have got into it. Now I got this end of 2021, so it's a 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025 now we're into, right? And I'm maybe gonna lose, if I were to sell it today, maybe 50-60 grand max on the retail perspective, which is completely fine. But now you got guys that paid 150 over, they'll lose 250K, right? That big difference is just kind of sometimes being a little bit smarter with timing when it comes down to buying stuff. But yeah, I know I'm working on the whole kind of rambling and getting into different topics. Bless you. I'm getting into just kind of organizing what I'm talking about, organizing the content better. And that's why I love, all the recommendations that every single one of you are giving me. I still haven't even drank coffee yet. If you give me coffee, I'll ramble for 45 minutes long. So, but I'm not going to do that. Anyways, working on it all, working on being more organized with what I'm talking about. I do need, of course, some help here eventually down the line with making the content. I guess I should get one of those what do they call them, Digi Pros or whatever, where it's a little bit more stable. If there's something that you guys recommend equipment wise that I should be using that's a little bit more YouTube friendly, let me know. Otherwise, just join along for another random Sunday until we get a little bit more active with better weather and we can actually enjoy the cars more and I can show you guys more stuff. But I do see every one of your comments, so I appreciate all the positive feedback. I appreciate all the suggestions, and I'm taking everything into account. We've still got another maybe 2.5 months of this active kind of crazy cold weather. The snow doesn't really bother you, but it's the cold that really does bother majority of the people, not just me, but everyone here. I'm sure nobody here is going to tell me that they really are enjoying this cold weather, right? Especially when we hit these crazy negative temps. So yeah, so just bear with me a couple of more months and we will get, I promise you guys, better with the content. All right, first stop for Sunday Funday is food basics. We gotta do some grocery shopping in the Cullinan. What do we really need? Just milk and yogurt. Milk and yogurt. Food basics. All right, so it didn't really make too much of a video today, but I figured let's see. You can tell by the starlight that it is getting a little bit darker. Went to the grocery store, got groceries, and then my friend Jay, who was actually in one of the other videos, sorry, actually not the other videos, the last video that you guys watched, where you seen Jay dancing around at the end of the video. He's getting married at the end of the year, so he was doing a quick e-shoot and stopped by just to help him with that quickly. And now, time to head back home. All right, we're back home. Only one thing that kills me about looking at the GT all the time is not being able to enjoy it. This car 100% deserves to be in the future when we actually work on getting something set up in the US. I think this car needs to stay down there. Like, in the summer months, maybe have it here in Canada, but in the winter months for sure, we need to take this thing down to the US, right? I mean, everything else is all good. What really God has in store for us for the future, only time will tell. Hopefully we're able to achieve more than where we've gone to till today. I actually do miss, a lot of people know I used to have a GT2 RS. I had it for about 3 years. It was a great car. I talked about in one of the other videos why I sold it. I definitely want to get a replacement for that in the future soon as well. But that actually, the R8 was gone to Texas for about 1.5 years. Used to be parked right here. The R8 was spending its time there in Texas being built, and just wasn't really any rush to get it back. So I spent a little bit of time down there, and the timing kind of worked out where I had no plan to sell the GT2 RS. But from the Canadian market perspective, the GT2 RSs, they're not really, I wouldn't say easy movers. There wasn't really much of a demand for them. And they were great cars, but not really everyone's, I guess, cup of tea. So they were overall great cars, but people here in Canada weren't really driving them that much. So I was driving the car. I put almost about whatever 9,000 kilometers on it. Enjoyed the car. Had a great time. Just before my wedding, I had somebody actually reach out, a close friend of mine, and he goes, "Look," he's like, "the GT2." He's like, "You bought it 3 years back," and he's like, "When you bought it for full retail. I bought that car. It was about 420 and change retail perspective, about 3+ years back, and." When I bought the car, I never had any plan to sell the car. And that's why I paid the little bit additional for having the build that I wanted, that spec that I wanted, which was the silver with the black and red interior. And it was exactly the car I wanted. And that's kind of why I paid at that time that premium. By premium, wasn't a huge premium. The car, that was pretty much give or take the MSRP on it. But keep in mind, it's a 2018 GT2 RS back in 2021. I sold it last year in 2024. So, you're paying about MSRP, maybe 10, 15, 20K over MSRP for a car that's at that time 3 years old. Not terrible. It was pretty good. But there were 2 RSs that were selling at that time for maybe about 370, 380 range, right? Maybe could have scored one at kind of wholesale range at 360. So again, I bought it 420 because I had no plan whatsoever of selling that car. Fast forward now to pretty much last year, and I had a friend reach out to me, and the 2 RS kind of retail market was around the 480, 490 mark. And I don't think it was much stronger than that. And he goes, "Listen, like somebody really wants this silver with the red and black interior," and he's like, they're at about that 515, 520 range, about 100 over pretty much what I had paid. And first I'm like, no, I don't want to sell it. Why do I want to sell the car? I love the car. And what he said to me made complete sense. And he goes, look, he's like, you've had this car for 3 years. You're in a suppressed market like today. He's like, you have enough cars. He's like, do you really drive the 2 RS before any of the other cars? And I'm like, no, I actually don't. Just like maybe look, the GT sitting here, I don't drive it as much, right? As much as we love cars, at some time, at the right point, you got to make that right decision. And he's like, didn't you, kind of always say you wanted to get into the 992s, right? The 3 RSs, because I love the whole kind of wide body aspect of that, the new ones, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, look, you can go buy one of those anytime you want. He's like, but when it comes to the buyer, from the retail perspective of this 2 RS, it's not an easy car to move. And he's like, you're not getting, wholesale, maybe 430, 440, 450, whatever. He's like, you're getting full pop 520 in a market like today, where Canada is not like the US. We have more of a tighter market, not as much buyers. Now is different because the US dollar is stronger. So 2 RSs are flying. They're making their way to the US because all the US buyers are buying them all up. But not even 2 RSs. Every other car, they're being bought up by the US market right now, which is pretty interesting also, because who knows how the used exotic car market's going to be in Canada. There's a lot of variables to look at, like with the tariff not taking place, but the speculation of it taking place. I don't think it's going to take place, but it's enough to rattle everything here, right? But up until that discussion of that tariff, every car has been making its way to the US. Like if you look at SVJs, everything that was on the market for sale, retail perspective, Canadian million mark for coupes, SVJ 63s that were in the USD, 1213 USD range, retail perspective, they all made their way to the States. SVJ 63 Roadsters, 15 plus USD that were listed, they all made their way to the States. SVJ regular coupes that were that million CAD mark, all made their way to the States. Everything from in the Canadian, pretty much retail perspective. So that kind of, raises the question of, did I sell the 2 RS actually at the best time? I thought I did, and I really am still happy with that decision. That initially I didn't want to move the car, right? But then when he put it in that perspective, I got amazing use out of the car. I enjoyed it. Will every person always kind of benefit in that same way? I would say very hard to say, because it's a very hard kind of market to gauge. You never buy a car ever expecting to make something on it. You always got to be prepared to lose the money, and that happens a lot of the times. In this case, I actually got lucky, and I actually made on top of the 2 RS after ownership. And I really think that Porsches are a very strong market. It's a great community. Overall, like if you get the right spec, like a nice PTS car, and it's got all the right options, you're at least kind of safe in a sense. Like if you don't pay, the wrong money for the car, I think you're golden. But that's really why I want to really eventually find another, like a 3R, not 2RS, but a 3RS. Or maybe if I eventually down the line find like a, lower kilometer, lower mileage PTS 2RS, maybe add one of those again, because they're great cars. It's just, things are always up and down. It's like kind of like, look at like CGTs. They've always had that, where they don't have as much hype. Then all of a sudden there's this crazy hype around them. Then they're going for crazy money. Then all of a sudden they kind of simmer down. Then they go for crazy money. 918s, a lot of cars that, people on here probably know or see this more than I do. But cars go through a very funny phase. Right now in the Canadian market, that's happening where a lot of cars are making their way to the US. But that raises that question of what really happens to the used exotic car market down here when you are limited with the amount of cars that are actually circulating in the Canadian used car market, right? Because from the retail standpoint, dealers that did have these cars, they're all been bought up by US buyers, US dealers, and like we are a lot shorter on cars now than we were before. No one's going to pay that 6.1% duty, especially with how strong the US dollar is, to bring those cars back to the Canadian market. So what really happens? And it's not like it's a little bit of car. It's actually quite a bit of cars that have made their way over. Like literally like SVJs, maybe you heard of before last year, a SVJ make its way over to the US. But like I think in the last 2 months, I've heard of probably 10 plus SVJs that have made their way over to the US, on countless amount of Porsches, on countless amount of just other, limited cars or limited production cars or numbered cars, or even just common stuff, like whether it's, Uruses, Huracans, so much stuff. And like, don't take it the wrong way by me saying a Huracan or Urus is common. I used to have a Urus, a Huracan, all of them. They're great cars. I just mean something that's not limited production or numbered, but literally everything, right? But not to be all over the place with all of this. It's just kind of interesting to think about, like if you are in the market to buy something, like I was saying before, what is a great starter car? R8. R8s are still going for good money, but R8s have gone all over the place. Like if you look at the 17 pluses, the prices have gone up, down, up, down, up, down. But now if so many R8s have made their way from the Canadian market over to the US market, and at the same kind of time with the US dollar being strong, and a lot of the times somewhat the US car market has an influence on kind of how the Canadian car market goes. If the majority of the cars have made their way or are making their way over to the US continuously, especially with how strong the dollar is, how long will this go on for? And what is that going to do to the used exotic car market down here? It's all very interesting stuff to kind of see, like, if you're a dealer, like what do you think is going to happen? Because from a transactional standpoint, whether you're buying inventory or whether it's consignment based, whatever the case may be, this is going to impact. In the short run, it's great maybe that you're able to send the car down to the US for some money, or just to kind of make that sale. But what really happens in the end? Are we going to be paying crazy premiums to bring some of these cars back over from the US? Or do we have enough cars to circulate? Because as time goes, you're not recreating these cars, like whether, these, for example, 2RSs and, 18 and 19 2RSs, you're not recreating those cars again. There's X amount built, I think it's 500 and 500. You don't have a choice. You got to bring it either over from the US, or you got to find some that are off market here. But if there's very little left, what do you really do? And this is all stuff that I think is very interesting. And I'm very kind of passionate of kind of how the whole automotive car market works. I love cars, and I don't buy them, ever in mind that you'll get out of them without losing, or you may get out of them with making some money. But just generally kind of understanding the car market is something that I've always, loved. And just to kind of watch, kind of see what goes on. I know some people are a lot better with their particular cars and builds and kind of finding like, oh, hey, look, there's only 4 of my color, or, all that. And it's pretty unique to see how much information there is out there about cars. And if you're just as passionate about cars as I am, let me know what you guys think. And I think it's a great kind of discussion to have. And it's kind of great to just be knowledgeable about, what you're buying. And I would really say, look, the R8 is not less appealing than, the SVJ. They're both great cars, but look at the difference in cost. Your million plus, CAD plus before taxes. These, like, I paid retail on this when I bought it. It was like 192 plus tax, and it was like 2 years. No, this was 3 years back. It was in 2021, I think, a 17, which was retail. I think you can still get them now, 170s for a good car. But the build on top, like, that was about another 100K on top. But then this, like, was what, 1.6 Canadian, right? But just because of the price point on this car, on the GT, the R8 price point doesn't mean it's less appealing. I really think this is one of the best cars you can buy to start off with. And I recommend, anyone starting today, this is where you should start. It is the best car, period. And these are all great cars too, but I think that's the starting point. But I guess that'll be it for today, guys. And again, let me know if there's anything more that you guys like to, hear about, talk about, and then let's not forget about the M3. M3 is actually an amazing day-to-day car, but if we're talking about exotics, R8 is the way to go. Thank you, guys, and enjoy. And that will be it for today, guys. As always, thank you, and till the next vlog, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and let me know how I'm doing.